Hey everybody, welcome back to Last Night in Vegas. I'm your host, Brian Ortega, and in this episode, we are actually going to the Mandalay Bay to check out Michael Mina's strip steak over at, again, the Mandalay Bay. So I actually asked this question on Instagram. Thank you so much for everybody who replied. There was actually one... there was a couple different ones, but the one that I remember was El Segundo, which that one was requested by a very nice follower. Didn't feel like going that far up the strip, which is kind of one of the reasons I didn't choose it. But somebody chimed in and said strip steak over at the Mandalay Bay, and I said, you know what? That sounds good. Let me try it. And on a whim, I went out this evening, tried it out, and I have some thoughts on Michael Mina's strip steak over at Mandalay Bay. So we'll be going over just sort of like an old school Last Night in Vegas review of strip steak over at Mandalay Bay. So coming up next here on Last Night in Vegas. Okay, Ray, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. So I made my way over to the Mandalay Bay, which actually was bought out. Well, not bought out, but it's a convention, which means it was actually very slow in most of the restaurants. My overarching thing about the Mandalay Bay is just how corporatized that property is. Like whenever you look at their restaurants or you look at like sort of their bar structure, their restaurants just look like they were built in a lab, and they had so many people go through it and say, you know what, this is what a restaurant should look like in a hotel of this size. And not necessarily always like in a great way. It doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel sort of that cool, just has that sort of unique quality to many restaurants. And I don't know, maybe because all the restaurants are in one particular area, restaurant row, but it just feels like everything has been manicured by like a computer, which you never want. You never want it to be like that. So I think that sometimes is a problem when you have restaurant rows, because then you can see all the restaurants and you're like, oh, these all kind of look the same. So anyways, that's just like a thought that I had for Mandalay Bay's restaurants. They actually have a new restaurant there called Orla, which that one actually is it another Michael Mina restaurant? I believe it is, and it's Mediterranean cuisine. Like I told you guys on this pod, about a year ago, that Mediterranean cuisine and Greek cuisine and all that is really, really the trendy thing right now. Lots of Mediterranean cuisine popping up in a lot of different places, and it's just kind of what it is. What do I think the next trend is going to be? Honestly, I'm not sure yet. Just because we're sort of in sort of that Mediterranean, everyone has to have a Mediterranean restaurant sort of vibes. The one thing that I think you might start seeing, Korean barbecue, very popular in the city of Las Vegas. It's actually becoming a little bit more popular than sushi. Sushi will never die. But it feels like Korean barbecue is sort of like the, hey guys, let's go do that. That's sort of like the new activity. So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see sort of how that shakes out. But at the moment, no new trends in terms of restaurants yet here in Vegas. So I'll keep an eye out, though, to let you guys know kind of like what's on the forefront. But anyways, I got the recommendation for strip steak over at Michael Mina's at Mandalay Bay. This is located on your way to the convention center. It's basically on the turn. It's actually been there since I used to be a concierge, which was back in 2017. And I think it was even there before that. But Michael Mina, very big name in the world of Las Vegas restaurateurs. He actually owns many restaurants inside of the MGM properties. He's one of MGM's stable of chefs. He has he has two restaurants, or at least no, he has one restaurant over at the Bellagio. Then he has his two restaurants over at Mandalay Bay. So it's open concept, so you can walk in right at the bar. The bar itself is sort of L-shaped, and then you can look into the rest of the restaurant. A lot of really cool decanters on your way to their restrooms, which I thought was really nice. You can kind of see the kitchen, but for the most part, this is a very contemporary design on the inside. The lighting is very good. It's not super, super loud, which is quite nice, but they do have music on the inside as well. I think strip steak is actually great for dates. I think it's good for sort of like a family steak, sort of like night out steak, if you will. It's good for business meetings just because of the open concept. It can accommodate very large groups. And I do remember this from when I used to be a concierge, and I mentioned this on the social, is that many restaurants in Las Vegas, especially steakhouses, definitely steakhouses, if you're going to have more than 8 people, I mean, honestly, sometimes it's like 6. Anything more than that, they require a credit card authorization form, which you have to fill out and send to the restaurant to make that reservation. And sometimes you have to stick to their group's menu, which is not always what people like to do. But Strip Steak historically was able to make reservations essentially up to 8 to 10 people, usually 10. Is sort of like the max. After that, then you have to call, make all these sort of special recommendations. But it is doable. Very, very popular for bachelor parties, bachelorette parties. And I feel like strip steak used to be affordable. You used to be able to get a steak for like, a nice New York strip, 14, 16 ounce for around, $75. It is not that anymore. Usually I look at menus, extensively before I go and try that restaurant. This time I didn't. I was actually at the movies and I did not want to go home. So I went straight to strip steak just so I could try it. Tried to check the menu on the outside of the restaurant. It did not work when I used the barcode. So that was, kind of a fail. But I said, screw it. I'm going to go up to the bar, sat down, opened up the menu, and holy cow, guys. So I was quite shocked with the price on the menu, and I'm sort of used to sort of the prices for lots of things on the Las Vegas Strip, but steakhouses, man. Steakhouses are really becoming one of those things in town, and it's really all around the city. It's not just Michael Mina's, but most of the steakhouses in Las Vegas are becoming quite unattainable for a lot of people. A lot of steaks on the Las Vegas Strip for like a meaningful cut of steak. Guys, filet, an 8-ounce filet is a bullshit. It's just a bullshit cut of meat. Like, honestly, we're going to talk about that later. But 8-ounce fillets, we're throwing that. It's bullshit. Most people want a ribeye. Most people want a porterhouse. Most people want New York strip. We want those options. We want those cuts of meat. Or prime rib. Prime rib is actually great. Don't see a lot of prime rib anymore, unfortunately. But those are the cuts that people want to have. They're the good cuts of meat. A lot of people will say, well, filet mignon is the leanest. It's the nicest, succulent, tasty part. We'll talk about that later. But a lot of these things, I looked at the menu. A New York strip, 14-ounce New York strip, is $91. $91. And I get food costs are very, very high. It's very, very expensive to run a restaurant of this size. But just think about it, guys. This is how you have to break it down. If you get just the New York strip, that is $91. You're already essentially at $100 from there. And then you're going to get a side, which is usually $19 to $20. So 90 plus 20, we're looking at 110, and we haven't even ordered a drink yet. We haven't ordered an appetizer. We haven't ordered a dessert. Obviously, a lot of that cost comes on to the guest because we're the ones that have to eat it and then obviously pay for it. The dessert's going to cost you $20. So, I mean, sometimes they're 14, but let's just round up to 20 because a lot of times they're like, $16, $18. So you're looking at 20 plus 9. You're looking at $130 if you want a dessert or an appetizer. And again, if you want to add a drink, that's another $20 on top of that. So it's really beginning to add up. And I think I don't have to tell this to everybody, but cocktails are the number one way to make your dining experience 10 times more expensive than it has to be. So again, it's just important to keep that in mind that when you are ordering cocktails, they definitely raise the price of your menu, which in some places that's normal. Like, you have a cocktail, it's $13, $12, in places like LA or, rural parts of New York or Chicago. But in Vegas, the cocktails are, $18, $22. A lot of signature cocktails in Vegas, $22 now. It's wild. So you get 2 of those. Let's just say you're out, with your wife or your girlfriend or your partner, 20 times 2, that's $40 for 2 cocktails. Then you got to get food. So dining out is getting very, very expensive. And I completely understand for a lot of people who are coming to Vegas and think it's expensive, because it is. It's getting astronomical. I would say a couple of ways that you can cut down on that is sharing. So many things in Vegas, especially steakhouses, are not, a la carte just for one person anymore. You really have to buy it like you're serving two people, because then it makes it worth it. If it's two people, you get one New York strip for $91. Let's just round up to 100. That's $100. That's $50 a person. That's not bad. And then you add a drink on top of that. That's $70 a person, because you go 20 plus 50. Then you're going to add an app. You can share that. It's really becoming very expensive to travel to Las Vegas on your own, and you have to come with a group, or you have to come with a partner, or just like a travel buddy. It's astronomically high. So I just wanted to go off on that little tangent that, Jesus, these prices are getting, out of hand. Honestly, guys, I don't really eat steak on the strip anymore because of this reason. It's just astronomically high. I can cook a steak at home. I know everybody always says that, but the thing is with all these steak restaurants, I've never had a steak that was like, oh, that's so different than that steak. Sometimes, yes, like today. But most high-end steakhouses, kind of interchangeable, to be honest. A lot of it comes down to service and the experience and so on and so forth. And, obviously it is the, event that you're going for. But I much rather would love to try Chinese cuisine, Japanese cuisine. I love trying Italian food. I like these options because, one, they're much more approachable. You can try different things. You can share a lot of these items because they're served family style. And it's something that I can't cook at home. I can't cook a lot of Chinese dishes at home because I don't know how to make the ingredients. But I go to a Chinese restaurant, they make it, it feels so much more worth it. So again, you're not going to see me doing lots of steakhouses anymore on the strip, just because, again, I don't find the value in going to a lot of these steakhouses. And if you really want a steak, go to an Italian restaurant and order the steak, because we'll always have a steak available for you. So back to Michael Mina's. I got there, looked at the menu. I did not order a drink this time because I did not feel like drinking a cocktail this evening, which, smart move on me. I just had a soda. So just had a Coke. Had a great bartender. Sorry, forgot his name. We didn't really have conversations, so it's okay. But great job. But anyways, so I ended up ordering the filet mignon. The filet mignon was the most affordable thing that I can get on the menu that was in my price range. Remember, if I ask, you guys, like, hey, like, what restaurant do you want me to go to? I am paying this with my own money. So I usually try to aim around $100 to $125. And I say like 125, like, begrudgingly. I try to stay around the $100 mark. That's how I keep myself on, a good little budget. But anyways, so filet mignon, 8 ounce. It was $73 for that filet mignon. And then I also got a side of their whipped mashed potatoes, which is like Palms puree. Very, very good. Actually, the Palms puree was delicious. It was very smooth. It was very it was packed with flavor. You get a lot of it. Really good to share. That was $19. So with that, I didn't get an appetizer. I don't like getting appetizers anymore either, just because I'm not going to get a $20 salad to feed myself. Because again, you can split it for two people if you end up going out in town. Didn't want like the bacon. I didn't want shrimp. I'm not a huge fan of like the shrimp thing as well. Which again, it's just another $24. And it adds up. And I want to try things that I haven't had before. And that's my biggest thing. If you want comfort food, that's cool. So I decided to go the dessert, because I actually think desserts are really, really fun to try, because they're always different. They're always fun. They're always new. And there's always a slight variation of like a classic, which is great, which tonight I had a good one. So had the filet mignon, had the mashed potatoes. And guys, let's talk about it now. Let's talk about it now. Filet mignon, which the last time I had a filet mignon in a restaurant on the Las Vegas Strip was that stack at the Bellagio. And this is the next time here at Michael Mina's. And I'm like, hey, maybe I've aged. Maybe I've found something that's, maybe I'll like it a little bit more. For those of you that eat filet mignon, what are you doing? It is not good. I mean, if you're gonna do the filet mignon, it was cooked perfectly. Great job. But I mean, like, I'm sure they seasoned it. Didn't feel like it was seasoned very well. I like definitely would have needed salt for this. Um, Maybe constructively for those of you if you're gonna go to strip steak, definitely order the accompaniments with that steak, the filet mignon specifically, just because it isn't as flavorful as I would like it. Because I like sort of that like juicy sort of fatness that you get from a ribeye or that like nice pack of flavor that you get from New York strip. But with the filet mignon, I'm sure it's made to be tender, which it cut beautifully, cut tender, perfect. But it just felt so underseasoned, and there wasn't that sort of like natural juice from the fat of the steak in the filet mignon. And I understand that's the way it's supposed to be cooked. I understand like that's that part of the animal. I did not enjoy very much of my bites of the filet mignon. So I would recommend if you do order the filet mignon, it could just be my personal taste, but try to order an accompaniment of like steak sauce or like a peppercorn sauce or something to go with it, because it definitely feels like it needs a little kick as you're eating it for sure. But 8 ounces, perfect size for what I was feeling. I mean, I get ordering something that's 8 ounces because it's a nice little snack along with all the other foods that you get. And the potatoes were great. The potatoes were absolutely out of this world. They were fantastic. They were creamy, buttery, everything I want from a Palms puree. Really, really delicious. I didn't mention this, that actually after I ordered my food, they did bring out a like beautiful like 3-cylinder thing of French fries with different sauces. They had ketchup. They had this like garlic aioli, which was like looked like ranch, but I've done that before where I dipped it in thinking it was ranch. It was not. It was a spicy aioli, and it burned my mouth. Then they had like their steak sauce, which is sort of like their secret sauce, sort of like Thousand Island ranch ketchup sort of deal situation. So they did have all 3 of those, and then also the fries had different flavors too. Like one was like a truffle, garlic truffle thing, and then they also had like regular fries, and then they also had like this dusting of sort of like this ranch sort of concoction on top of these other fries. But they were free. They were definitely free, which means no appetizers needed. But never seen a place that actually does French fries as an appetizer. A plus. I really, really enjoyed that. It was different. I liked it. I love French fries, and I think this has that's a really cool way of being like chefy without trying to go over the top. It's like, oh look, here's some French fries, and I'm just gonna munch on them as I'm drinking my cocktail. So they were very good, complimentary, free. Definitely take them when you can. And it can feed like a group of 4 people, especially if you're just like munching, on all the different ones. But A+ effort from those guys. So overall, the dinner itself was fine. It was fine. I would have liked to see, a ribeye in front of me. There was a lady next to me who ended up getting the halibut, which is a good point to say that this restaurant, Michael Mina is really known for like his seafood, to be honest. But really good restaurant if you want lots of options. They have good sea bass on the menu. They also have a chicken on the menu, because how can you not have a restaurant and have chicken? But lots of seafood options. They have a raw bar, which is really cool. You don't see the raw bar in the front because it's just a bar. But highly recommend if you're somebody who wants steak and seafood. I would always recommend a Michael Mina restaurant for any of those options. But really, let's talk about the main event. The main event that I did not know that I was going to enjoy it this much was at the end of the meal, as I'm sort of just sitting there, I say, you know what? Never had it before. Let's go with the chocolate cream pie. So got the chocolate cream pie. It came out in this like sort of plastic cylinder. The runner had to sort of peel or slide up the plastic. And then there was this beautiful just like white goo, which it's stracciatella, which I talked to a bunch of Italians. I think I said it right. But they have this cream that sort of just drips and cascades down over these almonds, and also like covered, just absolutely covered all over, drenched, just sort of like landmines everywhere of this like chocolate shards. They were sort of like chocolate, like sort of bits. And holy cow, when you get the entire collection of the chocolate, of the cream, of the little sort of like nuts that they have in there as well. This thing is out of this world. The dessert itself is worth going to Michael Mina's steak strip or strip steak. So tasty, so delicious. It sort of felt like you were eating a Hershey's bar with almonds, and then just put like this beautiful light cream right on top of it. It was absolutely gorgeous. It was out of this world. It looks great. Make sure to check it out when you watch the video for this particular episode, Conscious Confidential _LV, or at Keys to Vegas on TikTok. Still figuring that one out. We'll see how that goes. But overall, the dessert saved the meal and was absolutely awesome. I just wanted to go home and just put myself into a ball and go to sleep. It just felt so good, delicious. But overall, Michael Mina's strip steak, great room. I love that you can see into the kitchen. It's really good. It's really open. It's really airy. Really great for business meetings. Really good for dates, which is sort of like what you look for when you're making a steakhouse in Vegas. Is who is this for? Definitely skews older, but would recommend it if you would like a steak at Mandalay Bay. But like for me, you got to get the right cut. If you're going to get a filet mignon, make sure you get some accompaniments, some sauces, because it just read very, very just sort of one note all the way through. And I'm just trying to sort of like stay subdued, but that's how I felt about it. I was glad it was over, but overall, love the dessert over at Strip Steak. So overall, that's the episode. Kind of an old school sort of Last Night in Vegas. I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence whether I want to do more scripted or do this, but just really wanted to try this out and get the payoff for you guys who watch me on Instagram. Trying to be a little bit more active on there. So make sure you check in and see what we're doing. But I'll definitely be doing more questions where you can ask anything that you want, and then I'll answer it. I'll probably do that like if I'm sitting at a bar or something. But I love answering questions. There's no stupid questions for me to answer. Again, like I said, I used to be a concierge for like 4 years. So asking me where the bathroom is for the 88th time, I will sell it like it is the absolute best bathroom in the entire hotel. Even though Fontainebleau has absolutely fantastic bathrooms. But anyways, that was Last Night in Vegas. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening and tagging along. Make sure you check out our Monday episode, which was talking about what it's like to close a Las Vegas hotel and casino, hence the Mirage. Also, drop me any DMs or anything of a hotel highlight that you'd like me to do. I've highlighted a few hotels like the Bellagio, Cosmopolitan. Don't think I've done Fontainebleau yet, but done a lot of them. So send me a message anywhere and I'll go ahead and check it out. And then maybe we'll be able to review your hotel on the next episode of Concierge Confidential. So again, have a great weekend. Thank you so much for listening. If you see me out in town while you're here, come say hello. But remember, keep it confidential.